The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio. From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
Oh! Ho, 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 ho! Give it to me, Rab. Go! You don't have laughing and growling and howling. What are you doing, man?
I just like to do try a different voice every time.
I know we're kind of
like to see how silly I can be.
We're kind of running out of ideas here. We'll continue to do that. Darkside of the Pooch, baby. It airs every single Monday at noon or 8. It's a Darkside of the Pooch kind of Monday here with Dr. Rab Stewart from the Rossbridge Animal Hospital at Rossbridge Vet on Twitter and the Rossbridge Animal Hospital on Facebook. And, of course, 208-0301 is his phone number, 205-208-0301 for all of your pet care needs at the Rossbridge Animal Hospital. We got some killer Mutt Mail we'll get into this afternoon, this evening right here. And, oh, by the way, all of your shows are now up on Spotify. You can go to Tony Kurre Radio and search. They'll all show up right there with that big old pooch of my blue healer on there. Or you can search Darkside of the Pooch and go back and listen to all of our episodes. And there's a ton of them with Dr. Rab Stewart. All right, so I'm going to get right into it. My daughter thinks it's really interesting because dogs know inflections of voices. They know when we go, hey, that's a good boy. They'll start wagging their tail. And they'll also realize that when we use a stern voice, they know they've probably done something wrong, in most cases, cower down. Correct?
Yeah.
Because they don't know what the hell we're saying. And my daughter will actually go, he's such a bad boy. He's such a bad boy. I can't believe you did that, just to see how they react. So my first question, this is coming from Tony in Birmingham, that being me. First of all, what types of vernacular, if you will, and I know dogs know commands, but how deep is the vernacular of a dog? How many words can they understand? Do you know?
I mean, I don't think there's a limit. There was it seems like it was just yesterday, but I'm sure this thing happened like several years ago. But there was a story, and it was on a national news network, like CBS, like I want to say it's like CBS Sunday Morning or something, but it was like a reputable thing and not some kind of crazy thing from like Daily Mail UK or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So there was a guy who trained his dog, and he was I can't remember the breed, but it was a herding type breed.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had trained his dog to go and pick out a certain toy from, like 60 or 70 different toys. And all of them had a name and all of them had a color. So it would be, go get the red octopus.
Yep.
And the dog would search through the whole pile of stuff and come up with the red octopus. And they had him on camera doing this for several different toys. And so, I'm convinced that dog, he had to have known over 100 different, maybe not 100 different words, but he had to have known every word of primary color and maybe even some colors that aren't primary. Mm-hmm. And then he had to know some type of other word that associated that with the shape of the toy.
It was amazing. I saw the video, and it goes on for like 6 or 7 minutes, and he's like, go get the purple dinosaur, and the dog knew exactly where, and he had them all over the house. So it wasn't like in a pile either. He was going all over the house. It was amazing. It's really interesting because much like a wife, their inflection means everything. When your girlfriend or your wife says, we need to have a talk, that's a bad inflection. If she said, let's have a nice little talk, maybe it'd be a little easier to communicate with our significant others. But can dogs understand human laughter? Do they know when you're laughing, that's a good thing?
I don't know that I've ever had a dog respond to laughter that I know of, because I think it is a lot of the tone, and I think that is something that is instinct. Even, I don't think like super newborn babies. Yeah. But babies that are not that old, they know the difference between a stern sounding voice and a happy voice. Yeah. And so I think that's something that is either comes with birth or is just figured out very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so I think that they're the same way. But I think that with the laughter, I think a laugh could be menacing but it could also be calming depending on the way that you laugh.
Good point.
Like I've got a lady in my office, and she has the most, and I love it. I'll tell her all the time, but she has the most sinister laugh. It's a mad scientist laugh. And I don't know. I mean, if I would maybe think that's a little bit scary if I didn't know it was a laugh, because it's the sound.
Yeah. I love it. Dr. Rab Stewart, Darkside the Pooch. It airs at noon and 8 every Monday here on Tony Kurre Radio, and now on Spotify. You can go back and listen to as many episodes you want, and there's a ton of them. Darkside the Pooch or Tony Kurre Radio on Spotify. I want to tell you a little something because I had my Australian Shepherd start to chew my shoe. He's never been a shoe chewer, and it was because I was gone, and I'm not spending as much time with them as I'd like because I'm working a lot. And so I started talking to my dogs. And so this morning I had Dr. Rab down in the studio, and I went upstairs and I said, hey, buddy, I said, Dad's got to go to work. I got to go pick up Mr. Jamie, and then I'm going to come back over here and I'll be downstairs, and then I'll take you for a walk in just a little bit. And I'm talking, and they're both kind of wagging their tail because they can't understand a damn word I'm saying. But I was engaging with them. Of course, I come downstairs and Dr. Rab said, I thought you said you didn't have the kids. And I said, I don't. I got my dogs upstairs. And since I've started discussing my day with them, they haven't done anything wrong. It's like they understand. It's the most bizarre thing because I'm finding myself talking to them and saying, hey, what do y'all want to watch on TV tonight? Or what do you want to do after dinner? And they like it. They like hearing my voice, and they've settled down a little. Does that make sense?
Maybe you are Dr. Doolittle.
Maybe.
You need to keep working on this because maybe you'll start to hear from them soon.
You know what? I hope I do. I hope, if they want to start talking back to me, that's fine. But just sometimes I think by discussing our day or discussing what we're going through with our pets, first of all, it's therapeutic for us, but I think somehow they kind of understand because they feel our affection. They feel when we're down. There's nothing better than when you're just having a really bad moment and your dog comes up and puts their chin on your leg. It's like they understand you're going through a tough moment and they're there for you, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Speaking of dogs talking, Julie in Collinsville in our Mutt Mail here said that she has a tornado siren right across her street every Wednesday from noon to 1. The first Wednesday of the month, they test the sirens, and she loves it because she has a shepherd that will howl along with the siren. She wants to know why her dog howls, and she can actually make a sound like a siren, and her dog howls. Why do dogs howl at sirens?
Gosh, I hate to say I'm not really sure, but I don't really know. What makes one howl and then they all howl? Because it's just, when, okay, so
wolves and coyotes do it because obviously they're speaking to each other, but I wonder why dogs do it.
Well, that's what I was going to say is maybe they're not really sure what the sound is. And maybe they're just trying to communicate. I don't know. And I don't know if that's something that we'll ever know. It's one of those things that you can't have a conversation with them about it. So they can't tell you, but it may be just, they're trying to communicate. It may be almost, reflex might be the wrong word, but I would say that it was similar to when you have a wild dog and one starts howling and then you hear them everywhere. Yeah. And a couple nights ago, it was really weird because I woke up, it was early morning. The sun had not come up yet, but it wasn't in the middle of the night either. And it sounded like there was a pack of wild dogs in the back of my yard. Because we live next to like an area where there's no one behind us. It's all natural for a good ways. And I'm convinced that there was a pack of wild dogs out there just talking to each other. Really?
Are you sure it was dogs and not coyotes?
Well, when I say wild dogs, I mean coyotes or, anything like that.
Yeah. This is Mutt Mail on Darkside the Pooch with Dr. Rab Stewart, 208-0301, the Rossbridge Animal Hospital, Rossbridge Vet on Twitter, and the Rossbridge Animal Hospital on Facebook. You can check out, and I know they post these shows as well, and of course you can listen to them on Spotify. Toby in Atlanta is a huge listener. He listens every single week at noon. Thank you, Toby, for doing that. A big howdy-ho to Toby. He said he's heard several stories that we've talked about fences. He talked about your fence that fell, and all of a sudden your dog was running away and wasn't peeing in the correct spot and blah, 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 blah. He's talked about underground fences. He wants to know about something called liquid fences, and do they work?
I've never heard of them. So my homework this week is going to be to look up liquid fences and look into that for Toby.
It's some type of.
I've never even heard of it.
He said it's a very strong scent. They smell it. They won't go near it. And he said it actually stays on your lawn even after a couple of rains.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm gonna check into liquid fence, and I'm gonna get back to him.
There you go. Tiffany and Abernant here on our Mutt Mail said her cat absolutely loves to swim. There's some car TV commercial right now where a guy's out with his cat, and the cat's doing all types of things that a dog would normally do. She said her cat loves to jump in the pool. She said, is it a myth that cats hate water?
I mean, I think that most cats hate water, but we have cats that come into our office to get bathed, and they're fine. I mean, it's a small percentage of them.
You bathe cats?
A lot of them yeah. I mean, anyone out there needs their cat bathed, as long as it's not going to try to tear us to shreds, we will bathe it. Yeah, but sometimes, you get a cat that somebody wants a bath, and you get the water near it, and I mean, it's like a firecracker. But then there is the occasional cat that enjoys it. So I guess that she's got one of these cats that doesn't mind it.
That is one of the words that dogs do understand, bath. Whenever you say bath, man, they go underneath the bed. You can't find them. That's a great question. I've got one from Lucy in Tuscaloosa, but I'm going to hold on to that at the end because you're going to love this question. It's a great question. Mark in Garden City said, how do dogs learn to hike their leg when they pee? And second of all, why don't females hike their legs to pee? It's just like we stand up to pee and girls sit down to pee. How do dogs learn to do that?
Well, I think it's because males, when they have the way that they are made, if they were just to stand there, they would pee on themselves. Mm-hmm. They would get their front feet, their front legs. So I don't know, again, if this is something that is learned as they get a little bit older, like we were talking about a few minutes ago, or if it's something that is just ingrained in them. They reach a certain age and the males will hike their leg. But the reason they do it is because males will pee on themselves if they don't do that. And females just squat because they know that they won't pee on themselves. But and some males will squat as well. And usually that's if you neuter them really early. So I wonder if it has something to do with the testosterone that kind of gives them the clue to hike their leg up. But that's my theory. Again, you can't really be exactly sure on this, but I think it's to keep themselves clean, because females, they just squat. They're not gonna get themselves dirty, but a male will.
Have you ever seen a female dog or a female cat? Well, I've never seen a cat pee. Period. I've never seen a cat pee. Isn't that weird? That I've been around for 55 years. I've never seen a cat pee ever. Why is that?
They go in their litter boxes. Or they'll go in a bush. What about cats? Are really private.
So they go inside bushes, so you never see them pee. I've never seen a dog. I've seen a cat doo-doo, but I've never seen a cat pee. That's really interesting. Lucy in Tuscaloosa said that her boyfriend told her that it's important that she cuts the hair around her dog's willy, and she thought he was joking. Until she went to her veterinarian, and he said, yeah, that's a common practice because it's an area of the dog that needs to stay very, very clean hygienically, and that's a common practice. True or not? I've never heard of cutting the hair. Now I've manscaped myself, but I never heard about doing that to my dog.
Well, hopefully
laughing.
You don't have that much hair, around it that you would need to go to a groomer for that. But so. Dogs.
No, I'm not saying I go to a groomer to manscape myself, although that if I look like I got buckwheat and a headlock down there, that may be something. But in the meantime, I'll just take my short scissors out and take care of myself.
That's what I'm saying. We're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem if you have so much hair that you need to have it trimmed like that. Again, hopefully something I never have to deal with. So if you go to a groomer, if you take your dog to a groomer, most groomers will groom around their penis and around their butt. And it is more, hygienic if you do that, because if you think about it, if something stays dirty and it's an opening inside the body, it's more likely that they're going to get an infection. So one of the openings is obviously right there at the prepubescent penis. So if the hair is really dirty and there's lots of urine that maybe gets caught in the hair, then moisture retention is going to happen. And that's just a really good environment for bacteria to grow. And if bacteria is around that area, a lot of times it will actually migrate its way into the lower urinary tract and cause problems. So if you have a dog that is either a messy dog and just stays dirty down there, or if they have a lot of hair, it's not a bad idea to trim it. Now, will they have problems if you don't trim it? I mean, I kind of disagree a little bit there, because when we have, like, for example, these golden retrievers that come in and they don't ever get anything trimmed down there. And you can tell they're a little bit, the hair is a little bit dirty and matted together, but they don't have any problems. Yeah. So I don't think it's vital that they have it done. Some dogs, if you trim that area down there, if you trim it too short, then the hair growing back, just like you or I, our facial hair gets to a point where it gets itchy. Mm-hmm. And so if you trim it and then it starts growing out to a certain length, that can make them really itchy, and then they'll lick and chew and create even more problems.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to take it case by case.
Dr. Rab Stewart from the Rossbridge Animal Hospital, answering all your Mutt Mail. And again, go to TonyCurryRadio.net and you can go ahead and write down that email address for you, James, for Spotify, so we can get those emails as well. We get a ton of emails. It's our most emailed show we do here, Dark Side of the Pooch with Dr. Rab Stewart, right here on Tony Curry Radio. It airs at noon and 8 every Monday. And, of course, you go to Spotify and search Dark Side of the Pooch or Tony Curry Radio, and you're good to go. And it's great. We love your questions, so keep doing it. It's called Dark Side of the Pooch at Tony Curry Radio. There you go. Dark Side, this is great radio. Dark Side of the Pooch at TonyCurryRadio.net. That's Dark Side of the Pooch at TonyCurryRadio.net. Another question here, and this is really interesting. Tim in Anniston, welcome to the show, Tim, says that every night he has a hard time sleeping. His dog sleeps at the bottom of his bed, and the minute he's about ready to go sleep, he hears... And he finally says, give it a rest already. Okay, you've licked it enough. Why do dogs always have to lick themselves for so long, and they seem to always do it when we're trying to rest?
Sometimes it's for a medical reason, like they're itchy. So dogs will, instead of scratching, they might lick themselves. So if he's seeing any hair loss in the area that's being licked, or redness, or any type of little zits or scabs or anything like that, then get it checked out. My dog will do it too. He likes to lick, on his legs. He licks on his belly, but he doesn't have any of these lesions that I'm talking about. So I think they're either doing it out of boredom, or I think that they're doing it to clean themselves. But it is kind of odd how they pick the, worst times to do it, like when you're trying to fall asleep.
Gotcha. Lucy just gave birth. Well, Lucy didn't, but her cat just gave birth to 5 wonderful kittens. She loved our show about cat nipples that we did a couple of weeks ago, because she was unaware of how many nipples she had on her cat. She wanted to make sure that every cat had a teat to be feeding off of. She said that she saw the birthing and she was amazed by it. She knows why, but she thought it would be a great story to share. What is the sac that is around each kitten that comes out, and how does the mother cat go about taking that sac off or licking it off so the animal can breathe?
Yeah, so it's the placenta, basically, for each little kitten, or and dogs have them too. So sometimes the mother will have to open those up. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll already be open, but sometimes they'll have to open them up. And they just know to do that. I mean, no one ever taught them to do that. There's no way that anything could teach them, because this happens the first time something has a baby, a dog or a cat. They just instinctively know to do it. That's one of the amazing things about them, is their instincts. They just know. And we wouldn't. And I think that's why there's a lot of times the animal world and the human world, it's a hard transition, because there are so many things that we don't know, when it comes to that sort of stuff. And it's amazing how they just know what to do without being taught, especially when it comes to things like making babies, having babies, raising babies.
Yeah, so it's like a placenta, but it's a membrane that goes around the entire animal, right? So if that membrane doesn't come off, the animal could die of suffocation, correct?
Right. Yep.
So is that something as a human being that if they don't do it, then we need to do it for them? Or is it something you just let it go?
For humans? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. If they don't, then it's important to open that sac.
Okay.
So that the animal won't die.
Yeah. And it's relatively easy to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's thin tissue. I mean, you should be able to just pop it open.
Okay.
With your hands.
Steve in Oklahoma said that his dog loves to drink from a toilet. He doesn't want to know why because he figures it's a fresh bowl of water, and he's told his dog numerous times. He tries to close the lid, but sometimes the dog, and again, he doesn't want to give the dog water all day long because he also doesn't want it going outside to pee every 5 minutes like an old man does. He said, but his dog drank from the toilet a couple weeks ago, and the toilet had been flushed. He freaked out, took his dog to his vet in Oklahoma, and his vet said it's a common symptom for dogs with urinary issues are because they drink from toilets. So they get a urinary tract infection basically from drinking urine. True?
I mean, no, I don't I don't necessarily agree with that. Hopefully that I'm not going to get into some big deal with some Oklahoma veterinarian, but no. I mean, so if the dog drinks anything or eats anything, well, let me go back to the urine. Okay, so the urine is composed, it's made, and it can be altered by things that dogs eat and drink. Okay, so like for example, if a dog is left to its own devices and you just give it normal dog food, some dogs will make urine that is either too basic, meaning alkaline, or too acidic. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we have to feed them certain things, certain foods that will get the composition of their urine to it depends on their body system, but around neutral, like maybe 6.5 to 7 or 7.5, depending on if they have any underlying problems.
Okay.
So in a roundabout way, yes, if a dog eats or drinks something, it can, their body can produce urine that is unhealthy. I think that's the question.
Yeah.
But will drinking out of a toilet cause that? Like, in all dogs every time? No, because it depends on how the dog's body metabolizes what they're eating and drinking, because it may not cause a problem at all. Yeah, if anything, I would say it would cause more GI issues, and just like acutely, just in a short period of time. Dog drinks pee, upsets their stomach, they throw up, or right. A dog drinks diarrhea and it upsets their stomach. That's what I would think would be more likely.
Yeah, coming from an animal that eats its own poop, I think it's okay to drink out of the toilet once in a while, but I would not be taking it straight to the vet. That's just me. Dr. Rab Stewart, Darkside of the Pooch. It airs every Monday at noon and 8. Of course, now on Spotify, search Darkside of the Pooch and Tony Kurre Radio, and you can see it. It's up already. You can listen to all the past episodes. And thanks to James Michael Keats, our director of programming, putting all that together. He's been working his tail off. Darkside of the Pooch at TonyKurreRadio.net. James in Mosley has taught his dog to play the piano. It's hilarious. He loves it. He gives it a treat. And he also likes to play piano on his YouTube video. And whenever he plays a YouTube piano playing, his dog freaks out because the dog doesn't see anyone playing the piano. He said, what other things can I teach my dog to play besides the piano? Are there other things you can teach your dog to play?
I mean, maybe harmonica.
Oh, that'd be good.
Put the harmonica in the dog's mouth and see what happens. I need, what's his name, James?
Yeah.
Name James? I think we need James to send us a video.
No doubt. We could do that.
But I think harmonica would be good. I don't think strings would be very good. I can't really think of any stringed instruments that would be good. Drums. Just get some bongos.
Yeah
bongos and harmonica. That's what I think.
Why, speaking of strings, this brought up another question just off the top of my head. Why don't dogs like to have their nails clipped?
I think it's the restraint. One thing, they don't want to be restrained, but I do think that just their nails are thick, and so when you clip them, it puts pressure on it, and it's probably not the most comfortable thing in the world. Those two things, but then also I think that if you get one too short, it's painful. I mean, it just is. You know, if you get one, most people out there that have a dog have probably tried at some point to trim their dog's nails, and they've probably gotten one too short, and it bleeds a lot.
Yeah, it does.
So it bleeds a lot. And so I think when that happens, it's got to be painful. And then I think I don't think they forget that, you know? So I think those three things, it's one of those three things, maybe all of those things.
Any good stories of Rossbridge Animal Hospital you want to share with us? Have you done any surgeries, open heart surgeries? Yeah. You put any pig hearts in anything?
No. My wife says I have a pig head, so I guess at some point I had a transplant from a pig brain.
What was the inflection? What was the inflection in her voice when she said that to you?
It was not the Minnie Mouse voice that you used earlier in the show. It was not that one. But yeah, I mean, surgeries are always fun. We had to take there was a dog that's just like vomiting chronically, and there was no reason for it. So eventually you have to say, all right, well, we're just gonna have to open your dog up and look at it, you know, surgically. We're gonna have to open its abdomen up and look at everything, and open the intestines up and open the stomach up and all that sort of thing. So we had to do that a couple of days ago, and be sure that the dog hadn't swallowed anything that was obstructing it, which it hadn't. And then at that point, there's gonna be a motility problem. Like, for whatever reason, the dog's GI tract doesn't move things through. The muscles are not, you know, tensing and relaxing well to move things through. So then you have to take biopsies, and usually we'll get one of the stomach, and there's three different areas of the intestine that you'll just grab a biopsy from: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. Those are all just different parts of the small intestine. And then you send that to a pathologist, and they look at it, and they say, oh yeah, you know, this is the problem. And it's just, at that point, it becomes a medical case. The dog will have to have a certain type of medication to help their GI tract move everything through. But if you do that right away, people are thinking, well, why wouldn't you just try that medicine? And rather than cutting the dog open and going through all that, why not just try that medicine first? Well, the reason that you can't, this is my answer a lot, but it's because the dog cannot talk to you, and it cannot guarantee you that it didn't swallow somebody's sock or a big wad of grass or something. And if you use these medications and there is a foreign body, then that can be very, very detrimental, because you have the intestine that you've given a medication to help the intestines move things through. And so they're trying to move something through. If there is a foreign body, they're trying to move something through that cannot be moved through. And that can be very dangerous. So it's just part of the thing that you have to do with dogs and cats, because they don't talk to you. It seems like a huge, ridiculous deal. And it is, but it's just part of it.
I got to ask this question. What does it cost to open a dog up?
I mean, it just depends. Like, you know, for example, if sometimes you just know, like if you take an x-ray, you can see the rock in your dog's stomach. Okay. You just know that it's there. Okay. So for a surgery like that, it's pretty in and out. So it doesn't take a lot. So, you know, you're going to be less than $1,000 easy. Okay.
Okay. That's good.
But if there's something, you know, if you have to go in there and you have to remove a section of bowel, like sometimes they've swallowed something, and for whatever reason, no one really knows. Like if it's an outside dog, and, you know, people may not know that the dog's been throwing up or not eating, you know? So if you've got something in there and it's been in there for a while, and the blood supply is compromised, and you open the dog up and they've got some intestines that are really bruised, and those intestines are not going to live, you have to remove that section of bowel, and then you have to sew the two ends back together, and that's called a resection and anastomosis. So the resection is we remove the part of the intestine. Anastomosis is that we're putting those two ends back together. And you know, that may be over $2,000, because it takes a long time, takes a lot of manpower, a lot of anesthesia, a lot of sutures. So, you know, it just kind of depends on what's going on.
Yeah. Nothing against Oklahoma veterinarians, but if you're not using Rossbridge Animal Hospital with Dr. Rab, you're not using the best. Give them a call, 208-0301. That's 205-208-0301. Now, of course, Darkside of Pooch on Spotify. Search Tony Kurre Radio or Darkside of Pooch, and you can find all of our past episodes, including this one, which airs, of course, at noon and 8 every single Monday. Dr. Rab, I love you, man. Thank you so much, and we'll catch up next week.
Love you. Until next week, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.